Boom shakalaka, Bitcoin market's quite undecided right now, and there are some indicators that price could head all the way down to roughly $100,000. But this indicator says 220 by the end of the year is more likely. Stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, a lot of very interesting charts for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, including the divided market, why we might see Bitcoin tap $100,000 before headed towards $220,000. Before we get into it, like the video, join us on Twitter at @CryptoLove, and of course subscribe to the OG Bitcoin and Crypto YouTube channel. This one. Now, today, fear and greed at 52, almost dead neutral, out of last week's greed, back into neutral territory. The overall market down 2%, Bitcoin 105,043, Ethereum at 2537, and XRP at 215. Now, Bitcoin price consolidating right around the crossing of the 21 EMA and also the 50-day moving average, this yellow line right here. Plus also there's this nice little blip on the volume profile. Bitcoin is sitting at that right now. You do see this big green inverse head and shoulders right here that could push the price up to about $160,000 if we break the roughly $115,000 neckline right now. But taking a look at where we are based on the halving progression, you can see that, well, the top is still ahead of us in terms of most markets. But right now, cohorts, some are accumulating, some are deaccumulating. People don't know what's going on. This is interesting. Whales right now selling, but the fish, I don't know, the smallest cohorts are buying right now. So I don't exactly know what that means. If we take a look right here, this indicator, the checks order book depth, just flipped negative for the first time since the Trump meme coin top. For years, every time this has happened, a local top formed. This happened right around $48,000 before price went down to $38,000. This happened at about $72,000 before price went down to, we'll say, $54,000. This also happened at roughly $108,000 before price went down to $72,000. So could we have another local top? Yes, it's certainly possible. Could this just be another case of sell in May and go away every single year? Nobody wants Bitcoin during the summer. Nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They prefer to go to the beach and do things at beach, like get skin cancer and all those other fun things you can do at a beach. Well, nobody wants Bitcoin right now. However, Bitcoin may go into a consolidation before the fall, autumn, that time of year, but this will not change the big picture. Stay strong by the dip. As a matter of fact, could be major geopolitical offense marking the bottom. We had the COVID crash marking a bottom. We had the yen carry trade crash marking the bottom. And now the Iran-Israel war potentially marking another bottom for Bitcoin before a big market pump. Right now, based on these order books, the Bitcoin bids are stacked down to $100,000. So follow the whales and buy the effing dip. Could be $100,000 taps there before price takes off. We also see, if we take a look at the short-term holder MVRV Z-score, we're in an ascending tract right here, the bottom of which $100,000. This was the bottom at $27,000, at $55,000, and once again at $105,000. And it should be noted that the MVRV Z-score, short-term holder one, is nowhere near a cycle top. So could likely just keep on stepping up until Bitcoin eventually hits the moon. If we take a look at this chart right here, which compares Bitcoin to gold, Bitcoin being massively outperformed by gold can only last so long. If we take a look at the macro trend oscillator down here, we are seeing a cross occurring. We are seeing gold starting to stagnate, and when gold stagnates or goes sideways, that's generally when Bitcoin starts to take off. So could it finally be happening? Cross our fingers. Hopefully, yes. Right now, Bitcoin bull run is continuing to track the VIX predicted NASDAQ bull run. Very interesting that it's following the NASDAQ. You can see another chart of the same thing, the average of March 2009, April 2020, right here, following it almost perfectly for the course. And guess what it continues to do? Continues to go up for another 200 some days before we see any type of serious correction, which brings us to this. Despite what's happening with Bitcoin, the price right now, you need to understand the larger global narrative. Right now, whales are buying Bitcoin like never before. I mean, pretty much whales were not buying Bitcoin at all They mined it back here, but they were not buying any Bitcoin at all until roughly 2025, when all of a sudden they started buying in droves. But you know what? Whales generally don't buy on exchanges because that affects the price, and then they end up buying Bitcoin at higher and higher prices, and they're too smart to do that. That's only for dummies like you and me. What whales do is they buy it over the counter, which does not affect price. It only affects supply. And then eventually, once the FOMO and frenzy occurs, which is due again to us, seems like we act pretty stupid with money, but once that happens, well then the price goes through the roof, and that's when the whales unload. So, that being said, based on this right here, which is 3 up and 1 down, same chart over and over again, based on the averages, the importance of the growth cycle is that based on this metric right here, if Bitcoin maintains the pace typical of the third year in the cycle, it could grow about 120% during 2025, putting it roughly at $220,000 per Bitcoin, almost $250,000 per Bitcoin. I heard it said the other day that owning 1 Bitcoin is the new American dream. Holy freaking cow, can you believe it? That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, like the video, check out some of our shorts. And there's a playlist right up there you might enjoy. I'll catch you later. Have a good one. Love you. Peace.
Boom. Shakalaka.
If you don't think Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin and then $10 million a coin, you're already a loser.
From now on, if you don't own Bitcoin, you're a moron.